everyone, welcome to the Rendering Mode Series tutorial. In this series of tutorials, we'll take you to see the Wings engine, how many rendering modes it supports. The first one we mainly talk about is end rendering. The second is cloud rendering. The third is the newly launched Light 3D of Wings engine. What are the scenarios in which they are used? And how to set up these scenes? We know that when we deliver a digital twin project, we will use many different situations. Some cases are, such as the customer does not have his own server, and they hope to directly open a network link to access the project. Sometimes, the customer has a very powerful computer, which is connected to a large screen. At this time, they hope to directly install a software, and maybe the customer, his computer is also offline, or a local area network. Sometimes, the customer says, "We hope to install it on a server," installing such a project. And then we have many people, and some of them have computers, have better performance, while others have poor performance. If I want to open this project, what should we do? So when we really deliver such a digital twin project, we have encountered various scenarios and various hardware configurations and various combinations. Among these combinations, we should use the rendering mode to deliver it. Well, in this series of tutorials, we will gradually explain to you. So in the first lesson, let's take a look at the three rendering modes are respectively, and will also take you to see. We often say that we are CSS. What is the difference between CS and BS architecture? Because the distinction between CS and BS, rendering and cloud rendering, they are related, but they are not exactly the same. First, we need to have a concept. Wings engine. There are two softwares. One is for editing, which is called the Wings Engine Editor, and the others is for deployment, which is called the Wings Engine Viewer. We also call it viewers. So when will we use the editor? When we edit projects, or we use it internally for our own projects, for our internal use. We can directly publish it through this and publish it as a link. When will we use the viewer? Mostly, it's when we deliver it to, when we deliver to our clients, because our viewers, first, it doesn't require login. Secondly, it is also a local area network, or even offline. Thirdly, it's free for life. So this editor can be given to, installed directly by any customer. After installation, there is no need to pay. Or or login, and so on. So it is very suitable for deploying projects for our customers. First, on the customer's computer. After installing this editor, it will provide some project codes. We export the project code here. Exports the deployment file. After exporting, import it into the editor. Then we can deploy it to our customers. Note that these two softwares are generally. The editor is installed for ourselves, while our viewer is installed for our customers. So when we do projects for our clients, we need to use our viewers. Well, our viewers also supports direct openings in our software. Or we can share it as an external link. We support both of these two modes. This is an overview of our entire software. There are two kinds of software. These two softwares are used in what kind of interaction form? The editor is usually made by ourselves or for our own use. We use it for our company and for our own people. Digital completion project. We use the editor directly to share this model. If we make it for our customers, we will use the editor to edit the items and then export it as a deployment file. Install the viewer on the customer's side and then import it. This is the most important difference. Okay, let's first take a look at our editor. What do CS and BS mean? After we open the editor, it is a direct software, right? This is called CS. The advantages of CS is that the running environment is local. Our data connection, such as our editor, all data connections, can be directly connected to the local. And these data connections, including all the projects you do, will not be sent to our commercial servers. So its security is very good. However, our software's CS model also has a little drawback. That is, if I do it, and after doing it, and I share it with others, others also need to install the software. This is the first point. Secondly, suppose there are 3 people in our company who wants to do digital twin projects. Each of them needs to install a software, which is very inconvenient, right? BS. Its advantage is that, as long as I install it on the server, whether it's public cloud or private cloud, as long as I install it on the server, so that all computers that can access all the computers on this server, all computers can be opened with a browser without the need to install separate software, which is very convenient. Meanwhile, they can also collaborate. As for our Wings engine, its CSS is when you download it. It is a software. After opening it, it is just a software, but we have a private cloud here. After we click on the private cloud, if you can open it, our private cloud needs to be paid separately. If you open it, just click Start. We click Start here. It will turn our computer and turn this computer into a server. Then we copy this address Then we open a browser. I pasted this address in. Okay, after it opens, it will be exactly the same as our software. It's exactly the same experience. You can take a look. It's the same experience. This is the CSS of our Wings engine, which means it is both a software and it can also be instantly transformed into a server and a browser. It's a SaaS service. If you want to edit it yourself, you just need to download the software. If you want a company to create a company and everyone in the company edits, you open the private cloud and send this address to everyone. Everyone can open it. In this, for us three, whether it's 3D or 2D editing and publishing, all the operation experiences are exactly the same. This is the CS and BS architecture of Wings engine. Architecture distinction. It is also the underlying principle of, combining our CS and BS. What is end rendering and cloud rendering? The so-called end rendering. This is when I opened a 3D project. Let's take a look. We opened this 3D project. Whether we are in the editing state or in the viewing state, it's the same. When I opened this project, we saw that this project, it is rendered like this, right? It uses my local server to render the project. This local computer is used for rendering. It's called end rendering. What does it mean? That is to say, the rendered images I am seeing now is rendered directly by the GPU of my current computer, is directly rendered by its GPU. It is called end rendering. For example, I think because we are using our own computers now, our own computer is both a server and a client. So it's not obvious to everyone. Let me give a simple example. Suppose our computer is 19.2.168.3.1.89. Right, and then you go to a new computer. And your computer is 3.1.100. And you open this link on that computer and open this link. If it's end rendering, then you will occupy 3.1.100 GPU resources. If it's cloud rendering, you will occupy 3.1.89, which is the rendering resource on the server. This is the difference between cloud rendering and end rendering. Please note that, generally speaking, if you don't have BS mode, you can achieve such a cloud dual rendering. That is to say, first, you must support BS. If you don't support BS for many of our other products, they may use game engine directly. Then they can only be CS. At this time, it can only be cloud selected because it doesn't support exporting to the web. It's even less likely to support end selection. Or their so-called end selection is install a software on your local computer. and then open it directly. It doesn't mean I can use Select in the browser when I open it, but Wings Engine supports all rotation modes in all modes. Because we support both CSB and BS, both client-side rendering and cloud rendering, so all combinations are supported. Can you understand this? I've just shown you. I've shown you our end renderings. We can see that. We are opening it through the web, which is the end rendering in BS mode. So our volume clouds sky. Volume clouds sky. This is our biggest advantage. We have directly implemented a very realistic sky rendering. If some customers really need cloud rendering, for example, he only has one server, and its GPU is very good, and all who access it, but all the clients have very ordinary GPS. At this time, we need to use cloud rendering. Cloud rendering, also known as streaming, or push streams, or pixel streaming in English. The principle is that I render on the server. To do such a rendering, after rendering, I sent the rendered results as a video stream directly to the client. Then the client sends the interaction to the server. Let's take a look at how can we to do our cloud rendering. First, the current cloud rendering in Wings Engine only supports using in our viewers. But when exporting, we need to mark the project as cloud rendering. When exporting, there is an option called Advanced Settings in the Export Deployment file. We need to turn on cloud rendering here. If we don't turn on cloud rendering, the cloud rendering cannot be turned on here. Okay, if we turn on cloud rendering and export it here, we have already imported a project. After exporting the project, we click such as publishing external links, link settings box. We can see that there is a rendering mode. Wings Engine not only provides one-click switch to cloud rendering. That is to say, if you want to switch to cloud rendering, you don't need to make any project settings changes. You just need to change the settings of the settings box. It not only supports such a switch, we also support different situations. Cloud rendering in different situations. For example, this is the main link. The main link. It can be either end rendering mode or cloud rendering mode. We also give two sublinks. This is a fixed cloud rendering link, and this is a fixed end rendering link. You might think that, why we do this and give so many links? That's because we have experienced a large number of real projects. We encountered some projects. They hope that I directly integrate a cloud rendering and show it to our clients. Then you can directly use this fixed cloud rendering link Some customers said that they would like to integrate a link because some of our clients, they're internal, have a very complicated online process. So they integrated this link. For example, we can use the following: the internal code to integrate this link into their own system. Then, according to different situations, modify it in our background. The rendering mode. For example, sometimes we are on a good computer, or the leader is coming to check, right? We switched to cloud rendering. We save it as 1.1. We don't need to upload it again. The online project. It can be automatically switched to cloud rendering. If we want to switch to local rendering, we just click Save here. It will be switched to local rendering. We don't need to change. I don't need to do the processing. Process. For a relatively complex internal organization is a very convenient such a function. Let's take a look. We render on the client. We've just demonstrated to you the client-side rendering in our editing situation. Now let's take a look at. Let's look at the end rendering in the view mode. We can open the main link and switch to the end rendering mode, or we can directly open the end rendering link. Let's directly open the end rendering link. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, let's directly open the link for end rendering is like this. Is rendered directly on our front end. We can even right-click to see. We do it like this. Let's take a look at our code. We can know that we have a canvas here. We can see that this is a canvas, so the canvas is ours. The sign of front-end rendering. Of course, as you can see, we have a debug here. It's an official anti-debugging. Debugging function. It's not a bug. Okay, this is our end rendering, our server-side rendering. What are its advantages? Is that our interaction is on the front end. So the interaction responds very quickly in real time. But its disadvantage is that it must use your rendering on the client side. And resources. Let's take a look at our cloud rendering. Let's turn it off. Okay, let's turn it on now. Open our dedicated link for cloud rendering. Turn this off. We can see that when using cloud rendering, the picture is a little unclear. Of course, in Wings Engine in cloud rendering, the clarity can also be set. Let's wait a moment. When you started it for the first time, the cloud rendering screen needs to be launched. You may feel that. Cloud rendering. This is no different from our end rendering, right? In fact, there is a little bit of clarity loss, because at this time, it is just a video. Let's also take a look. Let's take a look at this part of the image. You can see this is a video tag. It's a video. It is continuously rendered on the back end. Then the video is sent to the front end. and then the interaction I had on the front end to the back end. Then the back end modifies to modify the picture. This is our cloud renderings, streaming mode. Okay, our cloud rendering can also modify more. We press Ctrl, Alt, and H, and we can call up our cloud renderings, rendering box, our cloud rendering. We can also open our audio. Or we have a quality of image. We can choose different qualities. We can choose different resolutions, or even different proportions. Of course, we can also enter text here. Sometimes the input box here. For Wings Engine, cloud rendering not only renders our 3D images, if there are, we do some two-dimensional components. Even the input box, it will automatically enter the cloud rendering, which is very convenient. That is to say, after you finish a project, if you want to render on the client, you can access this. If you want cloud rendering, if you want to render on the client, visit this link. And for cloud rendering, visit this link without any project changes. Okay, after we finish looking at the end rendering and cloud rendering, now let's take a look at Wings Engine. A new one called Light 3D. We also call it the light rendering mode. What problem does it solve? We've said that before. We often encounter rendering. What is the situation? It's because of insufficient server resources, but the client has a good GPU. Then use end rendering. If our server has good GPU, but the client's GPU is not good, then we use cloud rendering. But there is another scenario. This is also a case. We may have different computers need to access the same project. For example, we encountered some customer's project. There is a large screen in the lobby. This large screen, which has high visual requirements. This large screen is used to display a project. Then we need to use our rendering or cloud rendering, but we need to show the real 3D. But at the same time, there will be many other computers. These computers are not good. That is to say, in some combinations, they want both goods. Computers with high visual requirements. And some computers have poor GPS and have low visual requirements. But it still wants to open this project. And the project's functions are complete. The merchant has already addressed this situation, has launched such a light rendering mode. This light rendering. It seems that many people may think that, isn't it just a panoramic image? Let's take a closer look at the light rendering. The biggest difference is this switch. As I said before, it has a scene. The client can open the prearranged 3D. Some clients only want to open the project. So let's still use this project as an example. In our editor, let's take a look at this project. This project is the template in our new mode. Template project in the new mode. And I've already done it myself in advance. A light 3D configuration. If you pull directly, there is no light 3D in the template. We will later in the chapter on light 3D to explain how to configure it. Well, look. When I access it on my computer, there is only about 40 FPS. The performance of my computer is still good because now the whole visual effects are turned on at a high level. If I had a not so good computer, I also hope to open it, but I also want to open it on a good computer. What should I do? Here, there is a mode. Our light 3 is dimensional. Here, on the scene, we click on this. Rendering, and there is a light 3D mode. Let's see what type it is. We click on it and it becomes effective. Let's click on it to make it effective. After it takes effect, let's feel it. The first time, because it will load this image first. We repeatedly swiped it. It won't load anymore. We will feel better on the web. We are in the software. It will load slower. And there won't be the kind of web cache. Cache. Let's take a look at this kind of. This is our light 3D mode. You might think it's not much different. Right, but it can only rotate left and right. It can't rotate up and down. Second, the camera cannot move up and down. The camera cannot move left and right. But the advantage is that if there are some marking points in it, they are still valid. Let's take a simple look. Let's assume we switch it back now. Switch back to normal. It doesn't work. This is our positive 3D. It can be placed from any angle. Okay, then we add a market hour. Add this mark. Put it here. Okay, and then we switch to our light 3D. Okay, the mark is still there. We can even click on it, such as this pop-up window, or interact with our two-dimensional. So our light 3D is actually a kind of. When your computer is not good, while keeping the entire 3D lightweight, all the 3D functions. However, as you can see, we can't just choose to apply it directly, which would make it impossible to keep. So we usually choose the preloading selection mode. Let's save it. Let's share a link to see what is called preloading selection. We share and publish an external link. Let's open it. Okay, let's close the previous one. Okay, as soon as it pops up, it will ask if you want to use Light 3D. At this time, as we often say, what I often say, as I just mentioned, I introduced to you. If your computer is good, you can choose No. Then it will load in the real 3D mode. If your computer is average and the GPU is not good, then choose Yes. In this way, we can well compatible. You have both good and bad computers. Good computers hope for better effects, and poor computers hope for bad effects. With these two modes, let's take a look at the display. The loading is very fast because at this time, it does not load the entire 3D. It only loads those pre-rendered images. Okay, let's take a look. I just said the experience on the web will be much better. The whole feeling is very, very good. You can't even tell it's not a 3D. But in fact, up and down. See, it cannot scroll up and down. Second, we can't pan. Because in fact, we are some pre-rendered images. Our Light 3's dimensional not only supports us around a point, but also panoramic images. These different Light 3's dimensional modes are different cameras in Wing's engine. For the bird's eye camera, it is like this. A Light 3D that rotates around a point. There is also a roaming camera. It's a panoramic mode that moves up, down, left, and right. We will explain this in the section of Light 3D, chapter to explain it in detail. Okay, today I will summarize for you. We have simply introduced what the cities in Wing's engine are. It's a combination. It is a combination of BS and CSaaS. It is a comprehensive function. It is a CS after downloading. And it can also be switched to BS with one click. Meanwhile, Wing's engine also supports end rendering and cloud rendering. These two one-click rendering modes. You only need to do the project once and change it when you publish it. And change the link. You can directly realize the end rendering and cloud rendering automatically. Thirdly, Wing's engine also supports both good computers and high visual requirements and poor computers, and only need the project to have functions. For such a scenario, it has launched a Light 3D or light rendering mode. Light 3D allows you to make a choice before actually opening it. Or we cannot only play, select before loading, but also directly, automatically judge based on performance. Or we can only, or just make the mobile version Light 3D. Okay, that's all for today's class. Thank you all.